Most of you will know that I'm Namibian. I'm originally from Namibia, and I lived there for the first 16 years of my life. It's the only place I knew. Never left the borders of it until I moved to New Zealand when I was 16. And it's where I went to school. It's where I got my heart broken. It's where I learned to fly. So much of who I am was shaped in Namibia. I've been wanting to take you guys there for a while now. Since I left in 2010, I never really returned. I returned once in 2015 with Louis. But yeah, it's very much still in my heart. I'm pretty biased, but it's one of the most beautiful countries in the world, and it's a pretty incredible place to fly. So over the next few weeks, we're gonna go to Namibia and Botswana and South Africa. We're gonna fly all over the place. We're gonna fly in a Sling 4, but not just any Sling 4. For me, this is a pretty significant airplane. To a lot of people, this is a pretty significant airplane, but I really need to paint the picture to explain to you guys why it means so much to me. When I was 6 years old in 1999, I met a guy called Mike Bly. I met him in my hometown, Swakopmund, Namibia. At the time, Mike was flying a microlight weight shift trike from Argentina to Cape Town, South Africa, but he was flying it the long way around. You had to. Microlights are designed to fly very far distances. Him and Oliver, his flying buddy, flew all the way through the Americas, up over the North Atlantic, through Europe, and all the way through Africa. One of those stops was in Swakopmund, Namibia. Now, my dad at the time was learning to fly microlights. It was a pretty big thing in the microlight community. It was a record-breaking flight, and I got to see these two adventurers use trikes, microlights, way beyond their potential. And I remember being so young. I really don't have a lot of memories from that period of my life, but that's one thing that really stuck out to me was just imagining where these guys had been. I had no perspective beyond Namibia. I was 6, so I didn't have much perspective on anything really, but I just kept wondering where had these guys been? You know, where have they come from? What have they experienced? And how the hell did they use a microlight for that, you know, to go so bloody far? Fast forward to many years later, Mike starts a company called the Airplane Factory in Johannesburg, South Africa, with his business partner, James Pittman. They design, develop, and build the prototype of a 2-seat, all-aluminum, Rotax-powered airplane, which was the first for South Africa. And they'd fly that prototype. When they got around to building the first production model, they decided they want to take it to Oshkosh. I mean, Oshkosh is the epitome of anything aviation-related, especially experimental airplanes. But they decided if they were going to fly the airplane that far, they may as well continue and fly around the world. And that's what they did. And I remember following that flight incredibly closely in 2009. It pretty much planted the seed that I then too wanted to fly around the world. I wanted to be the youngest person to do it, but I also wanted to build my own airplane and fly that around the world. It was record-breaking. No airplane this light was ever used and flown this far. So they successfully flew around the world, and 2 years later they decided to expand on their design concept and add another product to their product line. And the Sling 4 was born. It's an expansion on the Sling 2. So yeah, instead of flying the production model around the world, they've decided to fly the prototype around the world. And again, I watched that flight incredibly closely because I became more and more serious about flying around the world at that point. That is fundamentally why I ended up flying around the world, is Mike, meeting him when I was 6, and James and John and these guys who, you know, really stretched way beyond what everyone thought anyone in South Africa could do. And they designed a really good airplane. They started a factory, a very successful factory. They flew these airplanes around the world amongst many other adventures. And meeting Mike when I was so young really planted the seed for me that airplanes are tools for me. You know, they're tools for adventure, they're tools for exploration, they're things I use to go to places that I wouldn't otherwise be able to go to. That's what I use airplanes for. The Sling 4, obviously, that I flew around the world was Tango Alpha Foxtrot. The Sling 4 that I'll be flying around Southern Africa in the next few weeks. I still can't frickin' believe that I get to do that. I get to fly the very airplane that inspired so much in my life. And I'm very thankful for James and Mike for trusting me with the airplane. And I look forward to putting it through its paces. This is the first of my patron explorer trips, basically, where I invite a patron along to join me on an adventure. Tio, who is a patron, he's been a long-time patron. He is learning to fly, and I thought I'd invite him along and show him some real world flying, right? Like when you go through flight training, everything's very clinical. You don't really get taught the unpredictability of flying, the problem solving you have to do midair, the unexpected situations thrown at you. There's going to be a lot to deal with on this trip, and I think he'll learn a lot from it. I think it'll really grow him as a pilot and set him up and give him proper expectations for what real adventures look like. So yeah, Tio's going to join us on this trip, and then I've got a friend, Carmen. She's a travel nature photographer. She's an awesome human being. She's coming as well. So that's the plan over the next few weeks. Exciting times ahead. Lots of stress still. I got a lot of paperwork to deal with, so you guys will see what I've got. Yeah, you guys will know better than I do what lies ahead, but it ain't gonna be easy, that's for sure. So I'm excited to take you guys along and have a bit of an adventure.
So it's like 1 minute past 3 in the morning, and I'm up all freaking night studying. Basically, I'm stressing myself to death, and I have been stressing myself to death for the last few days because I need to do a South African pilot's license validation, and they only give you one shot at this exam pretty much. And if I don't pass this exam, then I've got an entire trip that's planned and booked, and I've got people coming in from overseas to join me on the adventure, and they're all going to be very, very disappointed. And I will be very disappointed, and we have an airplane for a limited amount of time, and there's a lot at stake for me to pass this AIRLO exam. Now, it's just the PPL AIRLO exam. It's not particularly difficult. It's pretty much the same. The AIRLO around the world is pretty much the same. It's just little differences. Like some of the reason they decided to classify their airspaces completely differently than the rest of the world. But I've found actually around the world wherever I've done validations, I've found that that's one thing that's majorly inconsistent. What the restrictions and definitions of the airspaces are differs pretty much from every country. So yeah, but this is the frustration now. I've got so much at stake to pass this one freaking AIRLO exam, and it's for someone who's coming here to do a flying adventure, it's super stressful. It's just not fun. I'm sure I'll be fine, but yeah, that's the situation right now. I really haven't slept in about 3 days now, because on Monday morning, that's my one shot. I have to pass this. The battle isn't over then yet. Usually the actual issuing of the license takes a week. So trying to get that done in half a day is going to require some serious figuring out what I can do to make things work and happen. But yeah, just not a particularly fun time right now. Just not fun at all.
Huge update. I passed the AIRLO exam yesterday and got all the paperwork processed. My license should be ready this morning for pickup, and then yeah, we're good to go after that. That is the hope, at least. We'll see how things go. Africa tends to be a little spontaneous, if you will. We gotta just take it as it comes. But yeah, it's been an insanely stressful few days, like insanely stressful. Hardly been sleeping, but I got a full night's sleep last night. I'm feeling super fresh this morning. Just a huge weight off my shoulder. Like I can't even begin to explain how much of a weight off my shoulder that is. So, Carmen arrived last night. She flew in from New Zealand, and yeah, I'm super stoked to have her here. I'll introduce you guys in a second, but she's a rad photographer and just a super bubbly sunshine of a human being. So I'm stoked to have her here. And yeah, she's gonna fly with me to Namibia, and then we pick up Tio, and then the crew's assembled, and then we'll start our adventures from there. So the plan today is pick up the license, a little bit of paperwork still to do, go to Tetterfield and pick up the Sling and see what we can get done today. Best case scenario, we fly to Uppington, and which Uppington is a small town on the border, still within South Africa. And we wait there to get our overflight clearance into Namibia. And if not, I mean, that's best case scenario. Worst case scenario, we spend another night here. And then, I really have to put pressure on the Namibian CAA to see when I can get that overflight clearance, because there's been delays and I need it ASAP. Problem is flying a non-type certified aircraft, like an experimental light sport category aircraft, and the Namibian CAA requires the authority to fly to be validated on that airplane, and that creates a few delays. I'm used to it, but it's still a few delays. So that's the situation. We're gonna go have breakfast, and we'll see what we get up to today. All right, guys, we have it. Documents done. Lanzera Flight Center they've been absolute legends. And,
I think I'm flying now.
Yeah, she got a license now. She bought it for like 300 rand. That's the way it works in Africa. We're gonna have breakfast and then we're gonna head off. I freaking have it. This took so long, but it's done. And I think Carmen is more excited than I am. No, that's a joke. I am so freaking over the moon. This means we can fly. So we're gonna go to Teta Field, sort the last little bit of stuff out. Off we go.
How are you feeling?
I'm beyond excited. Like, I literally just want to go fly now. And I'm done with paperwork. I'm not done with paperwork, but up here I'm done with paperwork.
29 minutes to the plane.
29 minutes. We're here. We're here. I can actually see the Sling out there.
Just a little bit nervous.
Me? No.
No,
I'm just
never.
excited. I'm just so friggin' excited. Yeah, this is the infamous airport where the guys from the airplane factory designed and built the Sling. This is also where they started and ended their around the world flights. So it's pretty special airport. And those of you who watched the Namibia flying adventure with Louis a few years ago will remember I flew here for maintenance in the Sling that we flew then. So yeah, exciting times. Exciting times. All right, guys, we made it. We're at the factory. As you can tell, a lot of airplanes are being made here. And we've been sitting down with James, going over some really sweet spots to fly the Sling into in Namibia, some really remote camping spots. And yeah, it's exciting. We've got so many lodges booked, but the thought of camping is just overriding everything. This is James, by the way.
And our test pilot's coming across to test out your crosswind
And
landing.
this is Sean.
Sean
Nice
Russell,
to meet you.
airplane
nice to
factory
meet
test
you.
pilot. Carmen, Sean.
How's it going?
Yeah, good. So this is the crew. These are the guys who build these awesome airplanes.
And we're going to give you our absolute baby.
Yeah, I've got a pretty royal airplane in my hands over the next few weeks. So
She's flown around the world.
yeah,
She's dropped off cables on tops of mountains to make via ferratas.
Carried
Damn.
bicycles at the bus.
She does fly with a bicycle underneath there.
okay, that's good to know. Just in case we need to do that. Alright, Sean has run me through all the nitty-gritty stuff on TAF, and yeah, awesome airplane. I feel so honored to get to fly this thing. The next thing, we're gonna put some fuel in there, and then yeah, just go do a couple of circuits, just get used to it. It's surreal. This is one of those moments in life again where like I literally gotta like pinch myself. It's a moment of truth. I remember when Louis first got into Zazu, and he barely fit, so. Well, the seat's a bit far back. That's actually impressive, the amount of leg room in here. Nice, nice. All right, Carmen's gonna get in, and then we're gonna go for a burn.
I will always stay
right, we've been spending the afternoon getting everything sorted, all the paperwork, etc. We're done for now. Sean is busy test flying a Sling, and I'm gonna try and get some shots of him doing flybys, because I think that's what he's doing right now. And it's a TSI Sling, so it's got the 915 in it, which is one of the most badass full-seat airplanes you can possibly lay your hands on. Here it comes. And that concludes literally the most intense day I've had in a very long time. Got the license issued, that took most of the morning, then went over to the airplane factory, sorted out the plane, had an enormous amount of paperwork to filter through, insurance issues, you name it, but we eventually pushed through and got it done. The reality of these trips is there's a lot that's always happening behind the scenes, you know? It just sometimes looks like I get in a plane and I go somewhere, but there's a hell of a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And today was just purely an admin day. Got to do some fun flying, but yeah, purely admin. So yeah, I'm just happy that we're done and we can actually now continue. We're still waiting for the Namibian overflight permission. It did not come through today. I really hope it's going to come first thing tomorrow morning. If that is the case, we'll fly to Uppington and wait for clearance there. Yeah, what else? I can't thank the guys at the airplane factory enough. They've been absolute legends, just epic human beings, and they've helped us out so much today. So huge thanks to them. For the next few weeks, you'll be hearing a lot about them. You'll be hearing a lot about the Sling 4. TAF, the Sling 4 that we're flying, is a legend of an aircraft. Like, I'll put a few links in the description about what that airplane has achieved in its time, and Mike and James and John, you know, what they pulled off with that airplane is phenomenal. For me, it's a huge privilege to get to fly this aircraft. It's one of the trips. Watching the Sling 2 and the Sling 4 fly around the world are two of the most influential trips that inspired me to fly around the world. So it's an incredible honor to get to fly this aircraft. But yeah, it's been a crazy day. I'm gonna do a little bit of editing and then I'm gonna hit the hay, because tomorrow is gonna be another crazy day. We've potentially got a lot of flying to do tomorrow. So, but with that being said, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm sorry if this vlog was not particularly good. I'm still trying to figure it all out. We'll get in the groove of things throughout the weeks ahead. We got some insane adventures. YouTube has not seen anything like this, I promise. Anyway, all right. I'm gonna do my thing, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.